It is January 2026, and the narrative Meghan Markle has spent nearly a decade carefully crafting just hit an iceberg. We aren't talking about the usual recycled rumors or the grainy, blurry photos that internet sleuths have been arguing over for years. This is different. Something massive just broke something that was supposed to stay buried in the encrypted drives of the world's elite forever. In the last few weeks, the internet has been flooded with a fresh batch of high-resolution images, photos that don't just suggest, but seemingly prove that the Duchess's rise to power involved a very specific, very secretive network that she has desperately tried to erase from history. For years, the mainstream media has refused to touch the yachting rumors. They called it conspiracy theory. They called it jealousy. But what happens when the evidence comes from inside the house? Sources close to Middle Eastern elite circles are finally breaking their silence, and the timing couldn't be more calculated. Right as Meghan attempts her massive 2026 rebrand with Netflix and her new lifestyle empire, the curtain is being pulled back. We are looking at undeniable connections to Gulf state royalty, facilitated introductions, and a lifestyle that a cable TV actress simply could not have afforded on her own. Someone wants the world to know the truth. But the real question isn't just what's in the photos, it's who leaked them and what terrifying secret are they still holding back. Let's get straight to what has actually dropped, because the distinction here is vital. For the last 5 years, if you searched for information on Meghan's pre-royal life, you'd find vague theories and low-quality images of women who looked like her. It was easy for her PR team to dismiss. They could say, "That's not her," or "That's just a vacation with friends." That defense just died. The images circulating right now are crystal clear. We are seeing high-definition shots from private collections metadata dating back to the summer of 2010 and 2012, placing her in Monaco, the Mediterranean, and on decks that belong to some of the most exclusive super yachts on the planet. These aren't tourist photos. You don't get these angles unless you are on the boat invited into the inner sanctum. We are seeing Meghan in settings that scream wealth at a level that far exceeds her pay grade at the time. But it's the company she is keeping in these shots that is setting the internet on fire. These aren't just Hollywood agents or fellow actors. The faces appearing in the background and sometimes right next to her are identifiable figures from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. These are power players who do not mix with D-list American actresses by accident. The internet investigators are already connecting the dots, and the picture they are painting is explosive. It suggests that these weren't random holidays. This was a circuit, a well-oiled machine of high-level networking where access is the currency. The fact that these photos exist is damaging enough, but the context in which they were taken changes everything we thought we knew about how she climbed the ladder. And if you think this is just about partying, you are missing the point. This was business. But the business wasn't acting, it was access. To understand why these photos are so dangerous for her brand, we have to look at the cold, hard math of her life before Prince Harry. Let's look at the timeline. Between 2008 and 2011, Meghan was not a household name. She was a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal, and later a supporting actress on Suits, a show that, while successful, was filmed in Toronto and didn't pay private jet money in the early seasons. Yet the lifestyle depicted in these newly leaked photos from 2010 represents a burn rate of hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. Chartering a yacht in Monaco during the Grand Prix or the film festival isn't something you do with a credit card. We are talking about millions of dollars in operational costs. If she wasn't paying for it, and we know she wasn't, then who was? And more importantly, why were they paying for it? In the world of the global elite, there is no such thing as a free lunch. If you are on the boat, you are serving a purpose. The leaked images challenge the struggling actress who got a lucky break story. They suggest she was subsidized. Someone was covering the travel, the wardrobe, the entry fees to these exclusive circles. The narrative she sold to Oprah, the one about working hard, driving a beat-up car, and hustling for auditions, crumbles when you place it next to a photo of her sipping vintage champagne on a Saudi billionaire's floating palace. The math simply does not add up, and for the first time, the public has the receipts to prove it. This is the part of the leak that mainstream outlets are terrified to touch, but we need to talk about it. The new photos specifically place Meghan in the orbit of Middle Eastern royalty and Gulf state elites. This is a very specific, very closed world. These are circles that value discretion above everything else. You do not just walk into a party hosted by these figures. You have to be vetted. You have to be invited. And usually you have to be brought in by a facilitator. Sources are now speaking up anonymously, of course, about the nature of these gatherings. They describe a professional networking circuit where young, attractive, ambitious women are introduced to men of immense wealth and influence. It's a transaction of social capital. The women get access to a lifestyle they can't afford. The men get beautiful, charming company who know how to play the game. The allegations suggest that Meghan wasn't just a guest, she was a fixture. She knew the etiquette, she knew how to navigate the room. This connects directly to the rumors about her rapid ascent in social circles. How did she go from Toronto to London's Soho House? How did she meet the people who eventually introduced her to Harry? The photos suggest that her training didn't happen in Hollywood acting classes. It happened on these yachts. She learned how to mirror the elite, how to speak their language, and how to make herself indispensable to powerful men. It wasn't luck. It was a skill set honed in the Mediterranean. But here's the kicker, this specific group of elites is known for keeping their secrets. If photos are leaking now, it means she has lost their protection. We cannot discuss this without bringing up the mechanism behind it. You don't get from a soundstage in Canada to a yacht in the Mediterranean without a middleman. The new leaks are reigniting the conversation around figures like Marcus Anderson and the role of exclusive clubs like Soho House. For years, people have whispered that these clubs served as hunting grounds, curated environments where the elite could mix with talent away from prying eyes. The theory now bolstered by these images is that Meghan was a house favorite. She was reliable, discreet, and ambitious. The facilitators knew they could place her in a high-stakes environment like a dinner with a Saudi prince, and she wouldn't embarrass them. She would charm, she would entertain, and she would keep her mouth shut. That value proposition is what gets you invited back. It's what gets you the connections that eventually land you in front of a British prince. But the leak suggests something has fractured in that relationship. These photos likely came from the archives of someone who was once a friend or a facilitator. Someone who kept the receipts? Why turn on her now? Perhaps because she grew too big. Maybe she forgot who helped her up the ladder. Or maybe, as some insiders suggest, she became a liability. When you burn bridges with the people who hold your darkest secrets, you are playing a dangerous game. And it looks like the facilitators have decided to cash out. Here is the most telling piece of evidence in this entire saga: Meghan's reaction, or rather her lack of one. We know Meghan Markle. We know Prince Harry. They are litigious. They sue newspapers for printing letters. They sue paparazzi for taking photos of them in cars. They issue statements condemning misinformation at the drop of a hat. Yet regarding these January 2026 leaks, absolute radio silence. Why not come out and say these are fake? Why not say this is AI generated? Because they can't. If they acknowledge the photos, they validate them. If they sue, they open themselves up to the discovery process in court. Imagine a lawyer asking Meghan under oath, who paid for this flight to Monaco in 2012? What was the nature of your relationship with the man in this photo? That is a nightmare scenario for her. Her silence is an admission that she has no good defense. She is hoping that if she ignores it, the news cycle will move on. She is banking on the mainstream media protecting her as they often do. But the internet is undefeated. The silence is only fueling the fire. It tells the public that she is cornered. She knows that explaining these photos would require unraveling the entire tapestry of lies she has spun about her past. She can't claim to be a naive, independent feminist while simultaneously explaining why she was partying on the yachts of men who represent the antithesis of those values. Let's put on our detective hats for a moment. Why January 2026? Why wait this long? These photos are over a decade old. The person holding them could have sold them to a tabloid before the royal wedding for millions. They could have leaked them during Megxit. But they waited until now. This suggests a strategic, calculated long game. The timing coincides perfectly with her attempts to launch a new, softer lifestyle brand. She is trying to be the new Martha Stewart, the new face of wholesome American luxury. This leak is designed to poison that well. It reminds the world that the Duchess title is a veneer. It drags her back into the mud just as she is trying to rise above it. This points to a source who isn't just looking for money, they are looking for destruction. It could be a former friend she discarded like the Markled casualties of her past. It could be someone from the royal establishment who kept this as an insurance policy, a break in case of emergency glass. Or more darkly, it could be the establishment she used to run with the yachting circles themselves. If she threatened to expose them, or if she stopped playing by their rules of discretion, this could be their warning shot. We made you, and we can unmake you. We have to ask, did Harry know when he met Meghan he was reportedly besotted? He was looking for a way out of the royal family, and she provided the exit strategy. But was he aware of the extent of her networking? Harry has always had a savior complex. It is very likely that she spun these years as trauma or exploitation that she needed saving from rather than a willing participation in a high-end social circuit. Or perhaps he was completely in the dark. These photos might be as shocking to him as they are to us. Imagine being a prince thinking you married a successful independent Hollywood star, only to find out she was essentially a hired guest for the types of people your security team warns you about. If Harry didn't know the full extent this leak drives a wedge between them, it humiliates him on a global stage. It validates every warning his brother William gave him. Remember William's caution about taking it slow because he wanted to vet her. This is exactly what he was afraid of. The palace likely scrubbed what they could, but they couldn't scrub private hard drives in Saudi Arabia. Harry is now left defending a history he wasn't part of, and that has to be taking a toll on the marriage. So, where does this leave us? The brand Sussex was already on shaky ground, but this leak might be the fatal blow. You cannot sell authenticity when your past is revealed to be a fabrication. You cannot preach about women's rights and empowerment while photos circulate of you serving as eye candy for oligarchs. The hypocrisy is too loud to ignore. The danger for Meghan is that this opens the floodgates. If one person leaks photos, others will feel emboldened. We might see emails next. We might see text messages. We might see flight manifests. The dam has broken. The carefully constructed image of the humanitarian duchess is being replaced by the reality of the ruthlessly ambitious networker. And notice the shift in the public mood. Even her staunch defenders are quiet. It's hard to defend the indefensible. The squad can't scream racism when the evidence is a photograph of her own actions. Meghan Markle wanted to be famous. She wanted to be discussed. Well, she got her wish. But she is learning the hard way that when you build a castle on a foundation of secrets, all it takes is one loose stone, one leaked photo to bring the whole thing crashing down. The January 2026 leak is not just a scandal, it is a reckoning. It is the past coming back to haunt the present. These new yacht photos prove that Meghan Markle's journey to the crown wasn't a fairy tale. It was a business transaction. She networked, she maneuvered, and she played a high-stakes game with some of the most powerful people on earth. For a long time she won. She got the prince the title and the mansion. But the house always wins in the end. The people she used to get there are now the ones exposing her. As we watch the silence from Montecito grow louder, we have to wonder, is this the end of the road? Or is there something even worse waiting to drop? Because if this is the warning shot, I would hate to see the main event. One thing is certain, the world is finally seeing the real Meghan, and no amount of Netflix editing can fix this script. Stay tuned because I have a feeling we are only scratching the surface of what went down on those yachts.